I'm doing something a little bit different in this video. This is by far the worst real estate transaction I've ever been a part of, and it just happened. And I really want to go through with it with you. Now, typically I wouldn't talk about real estate transactions or something that's happened in a transaction in any of my videos, and we've helped several people buy, sell, and invest here in the Austin area, and several of you that have come from the YouTube channel. So it's not typical of me to really talk about a real estate experience because, number one, I don't want to share experience with client or give out any information. This is one of those rare instances. I feel like it's really important for a couple of reasons. Number one, there's so much hate for realtors recently, and some of it's justified, some of it's not. There's a lot of misinformation as well, but I want to go through this experience because I think it would kind of really shed some light on what really happens on the back end, and especially this experience. So I'll just get started. So I got referred a client. They had been working with another realtor. They had their home in the market for a while. It went under contract, and they got really close to closing, and right before they closed, the buyer backed out, terminated, and that was it. So they had this house listed for a long time on the market, went under contract, and then they got to the end, done. Well, as they got down to the end, they found that they had sold all their furniture, that they had moved out. So now you have a completely empty house. They've already moved out. This is one of those tough scenarios where a client was separating from each other. So you add the stress of that into a contract, and that in a situation of selling. We've helped quite a few people who have gone through divorce, and it can be good and bad, and anything in between. And it just makes it sometimes a transaction a little tougher for everybody involved. Now, they ended up firing their agent. So I come in, assess the situation, and it was a little bit tough because they want to work, well, the one wanted to work with me, the other wasn't really sure because they weren't here in the area anymore. They were gone, so we didn't really have time to sit down and do a full interview like I would typically do. So that made things a little stressful as well. It was a newer home in a decent area, but it was priced pretty high for what was selling around it. And the one thing that people love about this home is that it had a pool. Well, the house needed some work. It had some issues. And so we had to come back in, and the seller at this point, their stuff's gone. They've moved out. They're spending money on something else. They have a mortgage to pay now. They have leases and other things. They didn't have a lot of money to fix up the house. So I came in, we did virtual staging throughout the property. It costs a lot more than just taking regular photos with your stuff in there. We would have done staging, but that would have cost a lot more, and they did not have the funds to do that. So this is November timeframe. We get this thing relisted back on the market, get showings in the door. Now, the tough thing is they bought this home at the height of the market, and now they got divorced. Now they're ready to sell, and prices have come down, or they need to move, or whatever it is. So there wasn't a lot of skin in the game for these clients as it is. So we market the property. We get it under contract about after a month on the market, we get it under contract, and we're really close to them not being able to really make any money to walk away. In fact, at this point, they're not making any money at all. We get through the inspection period, and there's just a lot of things that come up on the inspection that need to be addressed, which was tough because now we're talking the seller's gonna have to pay to walk away. So finally, we come to some sort of an agreement. Now, mind you, these sellers have gone through 3 months, now another month with me on the market. Now we're under contract 10 days through the option period. Anyway, things just don't line up, and this buyer walks away. Okay, so now at this point, I've been working with them for about 2.5 months. We put it back on the market, and it's not really getting the traction it needs. We end up having to price reduce because obviously now we're into January, prices are down, and we're getting closer to February. Prices have come down from where they were. It's starting to pick back up, but not really. A lot of issues that we have to disclose to the next buyer, which makes it tougher. So imagine the next buyer knows now that there's some issues that need to be addressed. They don't want to pay that same high dollar that the other person was going to pay. They want a discount even more, and then they want these things fixed. And there's a lot of turmoil in this process right here. I mean, we're talking now into 3 months, and it's, for me, 5 or 6 months total for them, and it's just stressful. So finally, we're showing it, we price reduce. They were at the point where they're either gonna have to foreclose or do a short sale. So I end up talking with the lender or the mortgage holder. We figure out we can do a short sale. We finally find somebody that wants to do the short sale. Mind you, the whole time I'm getting a ton of these offers from people wanting to do subject to offers and things like that. Just the greediness that I'm seeing a lot of these investors or these pseudo investors, people that think they can come in and get a quick buck. Basically, subject to means that we'll take over the mortgage. We'll pay you as pretty much as a renter. We're going to agree on a price of a home, but you become either the landlord. That's one way to do it. So you basically make a new loan for them, which doesn't help this seller in that situation. Or they pretty much move in and start paying the mortgage, and your name's on the title. So if something happens and they walk away, you get the house back. Awesome. But if they stop paying, then you are now short, right? So in this situation, now my client has stopped paying the mortgage. So now they're close to default, which means that we're getting close to potentially having to go through foreclosure. So short sale was the only option. Now at this point, we're super stressful. Anyway, we get another offer on it. We go through this whole process again. They get stuff back on the inspection they want to get fixed. We finally get a lot of this stuff ironed out, and then we go and have to then submit all the short sale paperwork. Mind you, we're under contract. We've agreed. Nobody hears from the mortgage holder for 40-ish days. So we're under contract now for a month. We don't know what's really happening. Nobody's getting, I can't get a hold of the mortgage holder. It's stressful. Seller's not paying. Unfortunately, they're getting closer and closer to foreclosure. So we're getting closer on that. Finally, they say, yep, we can do this, but it's going to take, you have until X amount of time. The buyer decides to do a 203 loan on this particular property, which means that they're going to change the loan so they can actually wrap in construction costs, because this house does need some upgrades. It needs some work now. There's some things in the house that just need to get fixed. It's a great house. It just, is a house that need to get fixed. Right now, there's so much inventory. Buyers don't really want to take on a property they're going to have to fix. Like literally, they want to move in with their toothbrush. I was literally this weekend showing clients homes in the $3 to $5 million price range, and they didn't want to see anything that needed any bit of work. They wanted literally 2023, 2024 build. They didn't even want to look at 2019 build. So imagine that there's a lot of inventory. Buyers right now in this market are a lot more picky, which is great. They should be. Interest rates are what, 7.5%, 7%. So you definitely want to get a good deal. So anyway, this buyer ends up doing a 203 loan, which means that they're going to wrap in the construction costs. Well, the lender doesn't necessarily tell us there's going to be any issues, which means now they have to go back through and do a new appraisal, okay? So this could potentially push things to the end. So when you do a short sale, when the mortgage holder approves it, they basically say you can close up until this date. And for us, that date was June 1st, which June 1st is on a Saturday. So we have the option. We have to get all of this done and close by June 1st, or we have to start the whole process all over again, like legitimately start the entire process all over. Get down to the last week and the lender starts dropping the ball like crazy. Usually what happens in a loan, in any process, you get clear to close a couple days before, maybe a week before closing, and then there's some documents that are time sensitive that have to get back. Mind you, one of my clients does not live in the state anymore. One lives locally. So we actually have to have our side sign all the documents well before. The lender, so that we're supposed to close on a Friday, right? The lender doesn't have any of the documents, doesn't have clear to close anything on Thursday. So mind you, we have to close Friday. Otherwise, we have to start this whole entire short sale process all over again. So now it's even more stressful. Now we're 5, 6, 7 months in, and it is stress, stress, stress. So we get my sellers signed. I go to closing with my seller, and I haven't let them know that there's a serious issue yet, or it could be a serious issue because the lender's just dropping the ball. They don't have documents. So now it's Friday. My seller signs on both sides, and I let them know, hey guys, we may have to have some other documents electronically signed later because this could fall apart. And they're like, what? Have to go through all this with them. Now they're stressed out, which I was trying not to stress them out. It's 4 p.m. The lender finally gets cleared. The lender finally got clear to close like the morning on Friday. So he's rushing to get documents to title. There's a process that goes into like when the lender gets the documents, title gets the documents, there's a whole process, and it's not like something that just can be done in a day. So luckily my title company I use is fantastic, was busting their butt. Well, the buyer usually has to wire funds, right? Well, they didn't even have the money all lined up yet. So the buyer's literally sitting at, poor buyers, is literally sitting at the bank waiting for the exact amount they need so they can get a cashier's check to then go to title. Now it's 4 o'clock. So they go, hey, just put an amount higher than what we think it's gonna be and we'll give you a refund. So then the buyer's rushing to title. Mind you, we gotta close by 5 p.m. All these documents need to be sent to this short sale company today, like Friday. Everything gets signed, everything gets done. Their construction person had to drive across town an hour to actually get there at 7 o'clock. The title company stayed till 7 to actually get this done. And then I get the dreaded call. The lender did not send the wire in time. They sent it 2 minutes late. There's a cutoff time for when wires need to be sent, and it was 4 o'clock, and they sent it at 4:02. Now we go into the entire weekend not knowing if we actually closed or not. They didn't get their documents at the short sale, so we don't even know all weekend now. We don't even know if we actually are able to close and fund and all that stuff. Luckily, Monday morning, I get in touch with the short sale company, and they're like, "Look, just get us the documents today, and just get us today. Otherwise, you're done." The lender finally sends the wire short, which means not all the funds are there. So now we're spending all day today stressing, trying to get the right funds there, trying to get the documents signed, trying to make sure we fund today. We finally fund, get everything over to them, and it closes. This became the most stressful thing that didn't need to be stressful, but this was a 7-8 month, well, it was about 6-7 months for me working with these clients. But these clients dealt with this beyond me for 9 months. The poor buyers on this side, I felt really bad for them because they had to stress out last minute and deal with it. At the end of the day, we all got it done, but there's a lot of times that I work in real estate and these deals don't get done and we don't get paid. And so when deals fall apart, we don't get paid. So I know a lot of people think a lot of real estate agents are overpaid, but I can assure you the amount of money that I made on this specific transaction was pennies based on the amount of time and effort and energy I put into this contract, plus all the marketing, everything that we put into it, paying people to do open houses and things like that. So I'm lucky that this closed. The sellers are lucky, the buyers are lucky, because then the buyers had to go find a new house all over again. But this just goes to show you that there's a lot of issues that come up in a contract, and you have to have the right people in place to actually help you get to the finish line. It's not as easy as I found a house, put an offer on it, and you're done. There's a lot of loopholes in contracts. So I hope this helped. You tell me, drop a comment below. But yes, that was by far my most stressful and worst contract. I've had plenty that have fallen apart. I could say those were a lot worse. But I think this one's more relevant because it's telling them what's happening right now in this market. So you drop a comment, you tell me. Thanks.